Here we are, Monday, after the big topless race. And I'm just now getting around to the car and getting it off the trailer. 2 nights in a row, the cars ran pretty good. So now I got to work on the handling because that car was super tight, which it was a heavy track, but it was even tight the week before. So I know I got way too much left rear in this thing. So I'm going to get this thing tore down, get this nose cut off of it, and get this thing washed so I can start working on it this week. And so maybe I'll show you the poor man way of, at least the way I scale a car with no scales. Get the left rear out of it. But because it's got way too much, but I just kind of do it old school. So, but I got to get it washed, get the body tore down, get the roof back on it. I got to do all that first. I'm not racing this weekend, Mother's Day weekend. Wanted to make sure I made a graduation on Friday for Gracie Wright. And so we promised we'd watch my daughter Brittany's kids one night this weekend for Mother's Day. So that's Saturday. That's what it leaves me. So I said I wouldn't race Saturday. I'd keep the kids. So I got 2 weeks to get this thing lined out. So there won't be a race video this week, but maybe I'll have a little setup video. Nothing that'll impress anybody that's faster than me, but you know, might help the guy in the back that may not have scales, you know, get them close. And then you just got to get up on the wheel and make up the difference. So, but it's wash time, tear down time, put back together time. We'll see what we can get done tonight. Alright, so I got her pretty cleaned up. All the nose damage was just in the bumper. I mean, other than the sheet metal of the nose. I'll get it all fixed up. But she's clean. The body's not. Looks like we're getting ready to get some storms. So I'm going to get the car in the garage. This stuff I'll probably wash tomorrow. Should just let it lay out here. But it'd probably end up over there if the storm's too bad. I don't know. So I'm going to get this down, get it in the garage. And I'll get the body on it. A few little things I need to fix on the decking. After you take those sail panels off, those sail panels kind of help that decking out a little bit for support. So you take them off and you start ending up with stuff like that. So I'm going to build me a little piece of angle back behind there. Double that up so that's good and secure. And then we'll get the body on it, get it all cleaned up, get the body back on it, and then I've got to go through and kind of get this thing to free up a little bit, go through the suspension, and get ready for May 20th, I think. I think that's the next Saturday. So I'm going to get this in the garage, and maybe I'll get another video going here in a day or two when I get on that suspension. You all can laugh at me. See ya. All right, here we are, Monday, May 15th, the day after Mother's Day. Had a busy weekend. None of it was racing. Thought I had dirt there. It's a shadow. I didn't miss much by not racing because it rained out anyways. So, and it rained out at the track, which is the worst. So, I had a good time with the grandkids. But last week, the car all put back together. Got the top on. Just gave it an old change today. Got the nose all beat back into shape. I got the cover off right now because I'm checking ride heights and getting ready to take some left rear out of this thing. I got a new bumper coming, and we'll be ready to go. But this car, while it's not been running so great, it's been really tight this year. And I put that new rear end underneath it, that quick change, and so I really need to fine tune it. It's been really tight, and I've just been trying to get the car to run good, and figuring that the motor, when it starts missing being tight, it had a big part of it. But the last few nights I've ran it, she's ran pretty good, but it's been tight. The last race we ran track was super heavy. It was really tight. The race before that, it was, you're pretty much average track, and it was still tight. So I started racing in 2002. I think I've only had 4 occasions where my car's been on scales. I started out back in mini stocks way back in the day, and I'm pretty sure Al Hammond put my old mini stock on scales once. And of course, you start they had weight jacks on them and stuff, so on the front. But once did it once. I don't have weight jacks, or I don't have scales just sitting around. Even back then, where I didn't want to take them to people. I don't want to bug people. You do it, and then after that, you just kind of do it old school. You use a floor jack. I'll kind of show you what I do, which this is, I didn't invent anything by doing this. This is just poor man style. So anyways, and then when I got my first B-Mod back in 2007, I think, I didn't know anything about modifieds, having weight jacks and coilovers and all that on all 4 corners. And because I started in mini stocks. So when I got my first B-Mod, I took it to Jeremy Greenwald, and he went through that whole car, and I was over his shoulder and watched everything he did. And I still remember a lot of it today. I might have a lot of it messed up, but a lot of the stuff I use today is the stuff that I watched Jeremy do that one night. And he set it all up. I watched him. I asked a lot of questions as far as him, what he was doing and what it was affecting. And I don't even know if Jeremy remembers that. It's from that long ago. And it went on scales, I'm pretty sure, that night. Then I had an A-Mod that went on scales. Mitch Parmley had a set of his brother's scales, and we put them on there once. But it was once. And then when I built this car a couple years ago, when I first built it, Rusty Griffall was nice enough to come down, put it on scales, and just kind of get a kind of a neutral setup on it, I guess. But I've tweaked on it so much since then, and I haven't went out and bought scales. I don't want to drag it to people's house to have it on scales, or people drag it here. I'm just kind of go at my own pace, and I just keep doing it old school. And the car's pretty competitive car. So if I was struggling, I'd probably go out and maybe buy me some scales. I can see where they would be good to. Now, if you have scales, I think it'd be good all the time. But for me, I can see where it would benefit me, because I do it kind of old school. Nothing is, it's not super, I don't know my numbers exactly. My stuff's just off measurements and, using a jack, basically. So I could tell when, like, putting this other rear end underneath here, or if I wreck the car and I got to tear something up, or I start adjusting on it and it starts getting further away, I can see putting on a set of scales, getting it back to kind of your base set that you like. But I don't know, at this, I don't do it. I don't spend the money on the scales, and I don't waste the time bothering people with it. So I've learned to adapt. And like I said, this is nothing that I invented. This isn't anything that's going to help anybody that's faster than me. But, basically you get your car ready to go just like you would if you was going to scale it. You get your ride heights, get your fuel in it, get your your tire pressures all set. And then I jack up the rear end. I like my right rear coming off the ground about an inch for the left rear. And I know that's where my car feels pretty good. So I knew I had a little left rear in this thing, and I just jacked it up. And so I got about 2.5 inches there, and the left rear is just coming off the ground. So I know I got too much left rear in the car for what I like. And that's probably why I'm tight. So what I like to do is the old, which, like I said, it's nothing new. I just do it with a jack instead of scales. I'll start taking rounds out of the left rear and the right front and putting them in the left front and the right rear. Keep my ride heights the same. I like my corner. I don't like to put a whole lot of rounds in one corner. Like when you start doing your weight jacks, you know, and your ride heights. You know, I like to start out with those things even on both sides when you go to get your ride heights, so that you know, you don't have one corner with a starting out with a bunch of rounds in it and it's all stiff. I like my car to, you know, float, kind of be free, let that suspension work for you getting in. So, you know, cranking a whole bunch of rounds or taking a whole bunch of rounds out of one corner or two corners, number one, it changes your ride heights everywhere. Number two, then you end up with a really stiff corner and a really soft corner maybe. You know, I don't want something all rigid. I kind of fought that last year because I was too lazy to put the right bird cage on my rear end when it broke. But again, I just got on the wheel and managed through it. So that thing's got a lot of left rear in it for what I like. So I'm going to get the tires off. I'm going to start taking a few rounds out of the left rear and the right front, putting them in the left rear and the left. Take them out of the left rear and the right front, and I'm going to put those same rounds in the left front and the right rear, and then I'll recheck my measurements. And I'll just keep working like that until I was getting a phone call popping on my screen. It was throwing me off. And I'll just keep going at that until I get my my split like I like it under the rear end. So that's what I'm going to do real quick, and we'll see what we got. I know that's not real detailed, but I mean, as far as setting your car up before you even scale, that's a whole other thing. I'm just telling you what I do from the time you guys put your cars on scales compared to me working with an old weight jack, tape measure, and, you know, angle finder. So anyways, I'm going to start adjusting on this and we'll see what it looks like when I'm done. All right, so now I'm using the GoPro because I can't go hands-free here. My wife's got my thing from my phone. So anyways, so I can't really see what I'm seeing. That's what I'm trying to say. But I got the two front weight jacks rope loose. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start off with like 2 rounds, which by the time I'm done with this is like 8 rounds. I'm going to take 2 rounds out of the left front, I'm going to take 2 rounds out of the left rear, and I'm going to take 2 rounds out of the right front. I'm going to put 2 rounds in the left front and put 2 rounds in the right rear. Doing that keeps all your ride heights the same, and you're taking the left rear out of the car at the same time. So most of you guys that, I mean, I'm not showing you anything special, but here's your weight jack, and I'm going to take 2 rounds out. I got a mark on it already, so I know where it's at. I should have my shock out of the way, really, to be honest with you. But I'm putting 2 rounds in this one. Alright, that looks like a lot of cranking. That's 1 round. I got a mark there. Two might be too much, but we can always come back. There's my 2 rounds in the left front. I'm going to take 2 out of the right front. Same deal. So I'll go around, do all those, and get back with you. All right. So on the right rear, now I do, before I start changing things, I do write down my previous measurements, because in case I screw something up, or I can always kind of go back to my last set point, which I have a whole bunch of them. I always date them. But anyways, I'll measure my threads, you know, but since I'm always cranking on these weight jacks, I just measure how much thread I got. I put a couple rounds in it. I'll remeasure it. Once I get it where it needs to be, then I'll remeasure it and write those down where it's at, wherever I set it. But so these are on coilovers. I just got a little bit of, I don't have much thread right there, so probably a telltale sign I need to have a little more in the right rear. But anyways, so I'm gonna crank a few in the right rear and then take a few out of the left rear, set her back down on the ground, and that's probably covering my face up, but set her back down on the ground. We'll jack her back up and see what we got. All right, so basically 2 rounds out of the left rear, I put 2 rounds in the left front. I took 2 rounds out of the right rear, or the right front, and I put 2 rounds in the right rear. So that's like an 8-round adjustment. And it's about as simple as that. My left rear is just sitting on the ground. My right rear's about an inch off the ground. I can jack this up a little more. It might get a little daylight. See, just getting daylight underneath there. And that's as simple as I make it. I don't overcomplicate it too much, but it probably shows on the track. I probably don't know what a good car feels like out there. I've just probably learned to drive a bad car. So I'm not anti-scale. I'm just cheap. That's all. I'm cheap. I'll tell. But for some of you guys that don't have scales, hey, don't be afraid to, trust that jack. Look at that right rear. If that left rear is coming off the ground before your right rear, then you're really in trouble. The car's going to be really free. You're going to have a whole lot of right rear in it. If it's coming off, the right rear is coming off the ground a whole lot before the left rear, probably going to have a tight car. Maybe you like a tight car. But that's all I do with it. That is it. Now I'll go back around. Now that I've got it, I'll lock down all my weight jacks, my coilovers. I'll remeasure my threads, my shock length. I'll write it all down. I got my notes right there. And, I'll have that for next time. But it's pretty simple. I could go into a whole lot more detail, but there's guys smarter than me that you'd probably want to walk you through what you do pre-scaling. But, here, you get it close. And like I said, after that, just get up on that wheel. You could have a guy with a perfectly scaled car and, might struggle still driving it. So get her close and muscle that thing around there. That's what I do. Some nights it looks like I'm muscling around there and I'm not running too good, but then there's a lot of nights that she's doing all right. So, just been doing it a long time like this, and I've probably just learned to drive a bad handling car maybe. But anyways, so it was that easy. I didn't have to mess with it any more than that. I know sometimes you get it on scales, you're turning here, turning there, you're tweaking it, looking for that perfect percentage, that number. I'm the kind of guy that's just like, I ain't got no time for that. Get her close. Let me get up on that wheel. See if I can get you. So, it's kind of always been my mentality. But, I'm not trying to be, here, I want to win as much as I can. But, I guess I'm one of those jack of all trades, master of none. I get so far with it, and then, here, I'm ready to get close to mastering the next thing. So, but she's good. I'm rambling. So, I'm showing my intelligence here. Well, that's all right. Kind of put yourself out there a little bit. Here, you just got to prove it out on the track. So, this Saturday, be running Farmington, St. Francois County Raceway. The next week, they're off for Memorial Day weekend. So, I plan on running Doe Run on a Friday night the next weekend. Hopefully I'll have all my grandkids there. My son's coming into town for the weekend. And so if they get into town early enough on Friday, might have the whole clan at the track, which that'd be fun. And then that'll be my only race next weekend. I was going to race a little more, but since they're coming in town, Friday night will work, spend some family time. And then I think the week after that, we're not running. The B-Mods are not running at Farmington. They got a 2-day sprint and mod light show. So, I don't know if I'll find anywhere to run that weekend. It just happens to be my anniversary, so probably not. Me and Meemaw will go find something to do on June 2nd. June 3rd. June 2nd's our anniversary. I'm just trying to think. I think it's 33 years. So, yeah. You get that many of them, you start to lose track, man. You get old like me, 33 years, that's a long time. So, anyways, see what we got for Saturday night. Got a fresh oil change. Got to get a new bumper on this thing. Got some left rear out of it, so hopefully I'm not doing donuts. I ain't got it too free. I don't think so. I like how that measured out. That's usually where I like it. So, I'll lock her down, and I'll see you guys Saturday night. See ya.